right. I hope I am live because I just clicked on it and this is my first live stream officially. So, I'm Mallorie. Hello, everybody in the chat. We are talking wild edibles today. I hope everybody can hear me fine. I know that there's Jack from the Mindful Homestead that's in here. I'm sure he's going to answer and tell me if he hears me fine. I have Teacher SBD. All right. Okay, so I just saw myself on my phone. Everything seems to be working fine. I have Mark from Rolling Homestead here with me and Dave that are just waiting to hop up, but I just wanted to say a little something before having them up with me and to start the wild edible chat is what we are going to talk about today. You absolutely have to do your research on every single thing that we are going to be talking and presenting to you because you want to make sure that you know what you're picking and you are fully informed before. It's just we're giving you guidelines today. And also, I wanted to add in there that you want to harvest responsibly. So, the Native Americans here usually have a rule of five, which is you pick one, you leave five. Pick one, you leave five. You want to work together with nature and respect it as well. So I also wanted to say a little something to my French viewers because I am a bilingual channel. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to have the same live stream, but in French. So I'm just going to say that real quick and then I'll hop on my guests. Donc, dans 2 semaines, d'ici, je vais faire la même chose qu'ici. On va parler des récoltes sauvages avec Teacher SBD et puis le Nomadic Woodsman, les deux sur la chaîne. Puis on va essayer de reproduire exactement le même contenu qu'on va avoir ce soir. Donc, soyez pas inquiets, ça va venir. All right, so here you go. Mark from Rolling. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm going to add him up here.
There
you go.
Hey guys, how's it going? I heard a lot of people were looking for me. Good to see you, Gunslinger. Nicole, how's it going? Great to be here. Mallory's shy and nervous, so I don't know why. It's just like another day in the woods, You got to do what you got to do. So anyway, we're going to be talking about wild edibles, my favorite subject.
Yep. I'm really excited because I want to learn more about it, and I'm sure that many of you guys want to learn more about it too. And especially with everything going around, you want to make sure that you're going to the grocery store less and less and trying to get that good food out of your forest. Hey, Dave.
I'm back.
Yes. So Dave is from Wilderstead, and he's in Ontario, and he's got plenty of knowledge of wild edibles as well. And he is out and about and trying to get his last maple syrup run done for the season.
That is right.
Good to see you, Damn It's 85. Great to see you. Gunslinger's in the house.
Awesome. Hey there. My chat was not live, so I'm just going to catch up real quick. We wanted to start with the wild edibles that are going to start coming up. I know that we're probably maybe not all in your climate in particular, but we're going to talk about the things that we're going to start seeing coming up pretty soon here. So May, June, what do you guys have in your area?
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, like right now, we just got rid of the snow. So we are looking forward to the wild ramps, otherwise known as wild leeks, or in other necks of the woods, they could be called wild onions. So that's going to be our very first thing for our season. But obviously, Dave put out, I think, the behind him where he just came from, maple syrup is actually your very first of your wild edible. Most people don't know that, but that is the very first one. And then you're going to have your leeks, and then you could have, depending on your climate and how warm it gets, you could get wild asparagus, you can get dandelion, you can get wood sorrel, stinging nettle, and the list can go on and on and on. And then you throw in there morels, chick of the woods, all that fun stuff too.
All right. So I know that, Mark, you really love dandelions and you make that coffee out of the roots and stuff. And
Yep.
I know that we're probably going to be talking about that, but I wanted to know, where do you find the ramps?
My ramps are going to be over on my land, and that I go and get most of my edibles from. I want to make sure that there's nothing that has disturbed them. You don't want to be picking your edibles if it's close to a road or something like that. So I have a kind of like a hiney hole where it's kind of a meadow, but it's a wooded area. It's on a hill, so it's drier. And usually the leeks will be just loaded across the top of there. It's a really nice place to go. It's quiet. It's secluded. You don't have very many visitors. There is a drawback to this, though, is that our bears are just waking up. Oh. So you have a smorgasbord on your back when you're carrying a bunch around of wild leeks, or if you pack anything else, you have to be conscious about that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, damn it. So I will throw that up here. I just had that up there. Yeah, damn it. So I will throw that up here. I just had, oops.
Boat in, and out you go in your boat. There's no boat.
Keep hearing other stuff going on here.
It's all good. What about you, Dave? I know you're in your maple syrup right now, so that's like pretty much your first harvest of the year, right?
Yeah. Outside of chaga, that's the first harvest of the year.
Yeah.
Chaga, we usually harvest December, January, in around there. Maple syrup this year started really early. Yeah, there you go. Started about 2 or 3 weeks earlier than previous years. So that was kind of nice because, you're stuck inside, not much to do.
Yeah, I bet. Is that hard on the trees, though?
What's that?
Is that hard on the trees since you started so early?
No, because it's based on the environment when the sap starts to flow. So you got to really pay attention to your long-term forecast and the outlook of that, and put your taps in based on. Now, I have a friend who lives about 30 kilometers away. His season didn't start for 3 weeks after ours. And that's because his elevation is a couple hundred meters higher. And the majority of his taps, or the trees that he taps, are on a north-facing hill, whereas ours are on a south-facing hill.
Gotcha.
So we got it nice and early.
You guys ever tap some birch trees over there and make syrup out of birch?
Yeah, we'll be switching over to birch probably mid this coming week.
Most people don't know about that, so you talk about that a little bit, Dave, because a lot of people don't know you can tap birch trees. And
I mean, it's the same as tapping maple trees. The difference is that with maple trees, depending on the maple species that you're tapping, you're looking at anywhere from a ratio of 40-1 to 80-1. So sugar maples will be in the 40-1. So 40 gallons of sap to 1 gallon of syrup. And then if you move through the species, so for example, silver maple, red maple, Manitoba maple, or box elder, that ratio gets bigger. And Manitoba maple or box elder is the widest, the biggest ratio. And you'll be looking at anywhere from 60 to 80 to 1 ratio.
Yeah, well, I know like the birch too it seems to be a little bit thinner, and it takes more birch sap to make syrup.
Yeah, birch is, if you have very well producing trees, you're looking at 100-1. If your trees are iffy, you could be up to 150-1.
I know it's a really nice, refreshing drink. Just to drink it fresh from the sap from the birch tree.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do that all the time. Hey, Trail Trash, good to see you.
Hey, Dave, have you ever tried fermenting the birch sap?
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose?
But I have fermented birch sap. I do make ciders and wines using maple sugar.
You do?
So when we make the maple syrup and then carry it on a little bit further and create basically the same thing as white granulated sugar, I'll use that I mainly use that with our wild blueberry harvest.
Oh, yum. That
Just,
sounds
just to keep the whole beverage wild.
That's awesome. Do you have a video on that on your channel?
I don't yet.
Okay, I'll definitely keep my eyes out for that one.
I mean, there's no reason for me not to, because I have batches of it currently fermenting right now.
Oh, that's awesome. See,
I'm
I
just
was
really-
asking the question because I've read a lot on this subject since we're tapping a few birches right now, and we wanted to know if we could sort of make a kombucha style drink with the birch. And I know it has been done. I just haven't found out the right recipe yet.
Essentially, I mean, I know with maple syrup, when you turn it into sugar, you can treat it the same way as you would when you're brewing to make cider or wine.
Yeah.
I have not found any information online about making granulated sugar from birch syrup. I'm going to try it this year. But
That'll be interesting.
yeah, I mean, if you search granulated birch sugar, you'll really find nothing, no information on it. So I'm not sure if it'll work, but
Okay. Yeah.
It should be the same concept as maple syrup, though. You're still cooking it down past the actual syrup point and going into the crystal point of that, so it should be the same.
yeah, I'm not sure why there's just zero information on it.
Well, I know that birch sap ferments on its own. It's got like those properties to do it on its own. You don't even have to boil it down. But I don't know. That'd be cool to see if you can do that. I'm a little septic, I guess, but I'm really anxious to know what your results are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, guys, go check out Dave from Wilderstead. He's got an awesome channel, and Mark from Rolling Homestead. He also, I love these guys. You guys got to go get them.
And then the next thing that I was actually, because we make our own apple cider vinegar, Dave, because we've got we got so many apple trees that when we found out we can make our own apple cider vinegar and keep the mother, but a couple of mine turned into hard cider just on their own, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, we've been making hard apple cider for quite a while. Here, where we are right now, we don't have apple trees. We have some small apple trees that are being planted, but in the past, we made a lot of apple cider and a lot of apple cider vinegar.
Mm-hmm. They're both very, very good for you, that's for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Gunslinger, you're going to give Mark a big head.
All right, so going on with the wild edibles, now that we got the sap pretty much covered, the next thing I think you said was dandelions, right, Mark?
While it'd be the leeks, your ramps.
Okay.
Those are the ones that you want to be careful when you harvest them. That falls under the 5-to-1 rule. Dave was explaining beforehand the kind of trouble that people get in their area if they see a big collection of the plant, meaning they take the whole thing and you have all the bulbs together. You want to be able to leave that plant. But wild edible, leeks or ramps, however you want to look at it, they are nature's wild onion and garlic. They're a taste of both. And some of them are going to be white and some of them are going to be red. The redder ones are traditionally a little bit more like a flowery kind of taste to it compared to the white ones, but they're still amazing. And it's one of our main ingredients for our seasoning that I use for all our cooking stuff is I will dehydrate the leeks and then I will grind them down and they make an awesome powder, garlic powder, onion powder, however you want to look at it. So they're really good to have. And they're for you fishermen out there, their old trick was to stick those in the belly of the trout and then you wrap the leaves around and you would throw that in your fire. And it was just a flavor that is just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Yeah, leeks will be the next thing. Well, not necessarily the next thing coming up here because we also have pheasant back mushrooms that they start around the same time, but the pheasant backs can start a little bit earlier because they grow on dead trees. And so if you have south-facing trees that get really, really warm, those pheasant back mushrooms can start to grow before, after, or at the same time as the wild leeks.
Is that the same thing as a turkey tail?
Nope, different mushroom.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
getting a picture. Right now.
Yeah, I wish I could bring one up here, but
I'm trying to get that right now in another window so that I can share it out.
Hey, Blake, good to see you.
Pheasant backs are an interesting mushroom because you have to get them when they're really, really young in order to just eat them as a fresh mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
The older mushrooms you can slice up and dehydrate and powder and use them for seasoning, but they're extremely tough and extremely woody.
Yeah, we out here is turkey tail, chicken of woods, morels, of course, puffballs. If you're lucky, you can find a couple of them that are size of volleyballs and stuff like that. So,
There,
oh, okay, I've seen them. Yep. All right.
pheasant back right there.
And if you're exploring new mushrooms and things that you're looking for, pheasant back has a distinct melon aroma. Some people smell it as cucumber, some people smell it as cantaloupe or watermelon, but it has that distinct melon aroma. So if you're hiking around and you have a bag full of them, you'll just suddenly smell cucumbers and melons.
Yeah.
And what trees do you find them on?
In this area here, dead ash trees are the main tree. They do grow on other trees, and they'll it's a pretty resilient plant. I've seen them growing out of like railroad ties that are covered in creosote.
Wow.
I don't think I'd want to eat them though.
No, you don't want to touch those.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Guys,
And,
that's one of the things too is that your edibles. Make sure that the area you're picking them, if you're picking dandelion or anything, that make sure there's no toxic. Know that your lawn isn't treated. You're not picking them alongside of the road because all the toxins that, especially on a road, a gravel road, they get sprayed with tar, or if it's a black top, that all leaches down into the ground. You don't want to be eating that.
That's right.
Make sure you go. Like I do, go to a spot where you're safe from all that stuff.
yeah. What about the people in the city? Do you think they have like areas that they could go, like parks or something that?
I thought about that, but I was I'd be a little leery to like going to a park or something like that because you don't know what's been on that land. It'd be make me a little nervous, I think, picking in that kind of area. I want to go out to the woods or a meadow or something like that.
As natural as possible, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Anything in a city area, personally, I would question just because of the amount of pollutants that are floating around in general. So, but Amanda just reminded me of another forageable right now that Mallorie, maybe you can bring up a picture of this, but dock. If you're looking to harvest dock, in particular the seeds, which we use to make banana bread, brownies, things like that.
Like yellow dock or
curly dock? Actually.
Curly dock. Okay.
Yeah. Curly dock.
There's a few different varieties of dock.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think
And I actually have some here.
All right, so that's pretty much what I found. You're gonna have to confirm if that's it.
Yep, that's looking about right. So if you,
that's what we put in our salads. Yeah.
There's a picture of like a reddish brown.
Oh, the seeds.
Seed plume there.
All right, let me see. These ones here. I don't want to click on it because it's a YouTube link, and I'm afraid
Yep.
to click copyright.
Even if you go down below the finger that's pointing.
Here.
No, go to there's a finger pointed.
Yeah, now to the left a bit.
Sorry.
Yep. And so that is this stuff, which we'll harvest the seeds, and then we'll grind these up, and we'll use these just like a flour. I mean, you can't use it for everything, but for pancakes, for banana bread, things like that. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can experiment using it with.
Awesome.
I wish that line would go away, but it is what it is.
Dave's got a halo.
I should sit right underneath it, just like that.
There you go.
There you go.
Let's see. Are there any questions in the chat? If you guys have any questions, put them in caps because it'll just be so much easier for us to see them. So I'm going to scroll through, and if you guys have questions for Dave, Rolling, or I, just put them in there. We'll answer.
I just found out that I was telling you about that salve with plantain. It's yarrow that you mix the two together. And that salve is like the wonder salve.
So yarrow and plantain.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And with plantain as well, because I guess we're progressing now into springtime. The flowering shoots of broadleaf plantain that pop up.
Yep.
Maybe you can, Mallorie, can you pull a picture up of flowering shoots of broadleaf plantain?
Sure can. Sorry, I was
Now,
looking through the chat.
These things are delicious. They resemble little tiny asparagus. And what they taste like is a combination of fiddlehead and asparagus. The trick, though, is you have to get these when they're extremely young. And there's a video on our channel about these. These grow in everyone's yard. Absolutely everyone's yard. I can guarantee, unless your yard is made of cement, you have plantains growing.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say it's not the banana thing that you've seen at the store called plantain.
No.
These here, right here.
Yep. That one there. Maybe scroll down just a little bit. I'm just hoping maybe there's a close up of.
Right there's like that one there's good.
Those ones look like they're a little bit too far along, but in the video on our channel, I go through and show how to kind of determine, what is usable and what is not.
Yeah, I saw that. It's really, really informative.
And if you got like a little kid or somebody like that, or even yourself, if you're out, in the yard and you get stung by a bee, all you got to do is take a leaf off of that, chew that up, and make a pulp and stick it on that stinger. It's gone. It's just amazing what plantain. I mean, even as far as if you get a cut or anything like that, I've put that on, and instantly it's a nature's Neosporin.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can make an ointment with it as well, and put it in some olive oil with some shoots and the leaves. Chop it all up there, put it in some olive oil, let it steep for like 4 weeks, and you got a natural ointment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go back to birch for a second. I don't know if folks are familiar with birch oil and making birch oil out of birch bark.
Yep, the black nasty stuff.
Yep. First thing I'm going to say is you can use dead birch. So folks, if you're going to go out to harvest birch bark to make birch oil, focus on the dead stuff that's on the ground. Don't be peeling mass amounts of birch bark off the trees. But we discovered last year or the year before that the birch oil that we make, that we were using just as a, like a wound helper. So if you have a little cut or something, you can put it on. I was getting attacked by black flies here last year. And I started putting just a little dab of this stuff on a black fly bite or a mosquito bite. Boom, instant relief. Couldn't believe it.
Now, do you guys have, because see here we have what is called paper birch, and then we have, of course, the white birch. Now, paper birch is what we use for our tinder fires and stuff because the birch it's just half peeled off and it continuously will create stuff. But white birch is different. And I for those that don't understand, there's different types of birch trees out there. So the one that for the oil that he's talking about is going to be coming off of the white birch.
It actually the same properties
Are in both?
Yeah, hopefully I'm going to say this right, but acetylsilic acid. And it's similar to what is in willow, which is salicylic acid, which is the same as aspirin.
Right.
But the properties exist in every single birch tree. Some are higher than others, kind of like sugar content with different trees when you're making syrup.
Yeah, busy. I've heard that back in the day too. Around here, yellow birch. We call it paper birch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we call it yellow birch here as well.
Hey, Tyler, good to see you, buddy.
And yellow birch tends to have almost like a minty wintergreen kind of aroma.
Hey, there's another edible that I haven't talked about in a while. Is wintergreen. You have that up by you a lot. It's hard to find around here.
Yeah, if you find a patch here, you have found a massive patch.
Oh wow, yeah. The other one that I forgot about was wintercrest. You were asking me, Mallory, if there's something unedible that you could have in the wintertime. Wintercrest might be that one if you can find it. I don't know. Around here, it's usually on the south side of the tree where the sun is. Usually on the very bottom, the base of the tree, you'll see some. The grass and stuff will be up, and that's where you'll find it. But wintercrest.
Is that it?
I don't know. I can't. Let me go look on mine. It looks like it.
Cool. And is that like an early edible? That's like, or you say in the winter, but like I wouldn't have that in the wintertime here because I'm dumped with snow. But
usually in the winter, you're going to find that on the base on the south side of a tree. If you go and you look under like pine trees or trees that are facing just that one side of that tree, you'll see it. There'll be some grass and stuff. And wintercrest is really a strong plant because it's able to survive in that kind of environment. So it's a really neat thing to look for.
All right.
And I think that one's somewhat of an evergreen, isn't it?
Yep, and it's a huge for healing. A lot of the herbal healing people right now are using wintercrest, like bag balm and stuff like that. They have that with the wintercrest. It's a muscle reliever, kind of, for your aches and pains. You can do that with it.
Awesome. Sweet. And so I think now we're at dandelion. I'm really excited for the dandelions.
Dandelion is probably, I've got to admit, is one of my favorite. From the root, which is here, to the flower. There's so much stuff that you can do with dandelion. The whole plant itself is edible. The greens are going to be bitter. Now, if you with bitters are actually a cleanser. So dandelion is a detox. If you use it medicinally, it can be used as a detox for your liver and your kidneys. But the flower can be made into butter. It can be made into syrup. It can be made into jelly. It can be made into wine. There's so many things that you can just eat them, and the greens you can put in your salads. There's so much that you can do with dandelion. The roots can be cut and cleaned up, and they can be roasted, and you can make poor man's coffee. Very good. I've had it many times. It's a great plant that people like to destroy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable the way that people treat dandelions.
Yeah.
But everyone wants their nice green lawn,
I don't really weed as much as I should because every time I go into the garden, I will find like wood sorrel, and then I'll be eating that, and then I'll look around. Oh, there's dandelion, and then I'll look around a little bit farther, and we'll have mint and all that stuff laying around. You got purslane in there. That's another one most people will just tear out of their garden. And purslane is it grows on the top, so it doesn't actually. It keeps your soil moist. Not only that, but you can fry that up stuff, and it's really good.
There's one here that we have that's called chou-gras, but I don't know what it is in English. I'm gonna go check it out because it's all in the garden everywhere. So I'm just gonna go check it out real quick.
Another spring one that we missed is trout lily.
That one I never heard of.
Yeah.
No, it's mainly, you would have it in your area. It's mainly an Eastern North American plant. It potentially is an emetic, so it can induce vomiting, eaten in copious amounts.
That's a trick to this too, guys. If the plant, I was told from a Native American, if the plant is small, you're supposed to eat small amounts. If the plant is big and numerous, you can eat a lot of it. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they always told me.
I got a little photo of trout lily here.
Yep,
I'm sure you've seen them around, Mark. They're everywhere in the forest here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And I mean, the entire plant is edible, but like I said, it potentially can induce vomiting, so you don't want to, spend a week eating it.
One of the other thing too that I forgot in the wintertime is pine. Tyler, when he came up here to do his our winter camping trip, he got the first taste of pine tea, and that was balsam tea this time. But there's huge benefits from that, from the vitamin C, from eating the inner barks. You guys, you'd be amazed. It's pretty. What I do is I'll walk around the woods and I'll just take pieces off here and there until I find one that tastes good, and that's the one that I'll pull and make my tea out of. Pigweed, yep, there's another one. I was just looking at that today.
You got the young sprouts of the spruce trees as well that you can eat them either small, young like that, or you can put them in a vinegar base and marinate them.
Actually, I'm gonna have to go find that book because I got to make sure. Dave would probably Linda, her and her husband. I think it was in Canada or somewhere. Or it could have been Alaska. They just walked off. Linda Runzen. Does that name sound familiar? That was the first wild edibles class I've ever took. And
yes,
she and her husband actually lived off their first year. They brought 50 pounds of meat and some other stuff, and they figured out in a month's time everything was gone, and they had to live off of a pine tree for the first year. And she says, "You'd be surprised what you can make out of a pine tree." But Linda Runyon, if you guys ever go and check out her stuff, she's an older lady, and she has a lot of stuff about wild edibles. And that was my first wild edibles class I took.
All right. If anybody, if the moderators in the chat, if you guys can go get that link there and put it in the chat, that would be awesome.
But you guys were talking too is chaga, and I was showing Mallorie about the tinctures that you can make with chaga instead of just making like the teas and stuff like that. By tinctures are made with alcohol, teas made with water. There's two different, and you're going to get two different properties from that. The alcohol is going to get a different property than what your tea tincture is going to get. So,
yeah, definitely, and even your chaga, your spent chaga, like if you're making tea out of the chunks and just steeping your chunks of chaga, you can dry that chaga out, and you can either use it as a tinder for starting fire, or you can grind that into a powder and add it into your breads and muffins and things like that, pancakes.
So how do you process your chaga for the long-term conservation?
How do you mean?
I mean, do you dry it? Do you freeze it? How long can you freeze it if you do?
I dry it.
Yeah.
I dehydrate it, and then I store it in big 2-liter mason jars.
Yeah, like these ones.
Yep.
Okay. So we dried a bunch, and the first year that we got here, we found a really big a really big one. So we harvested about 70% of it. We left 30%, but there was still this like a big chunk left, and we froze it in the freezer, and I think it stayed in there for like a year, and like we had almost forgotten about it, and so we got it back out of the freezer, and it smelled so good still. So
Oh yeah,
we decided to dry it from there, and
Yep.
that's what
yeah.
we
I would say there's nothing wrong with doing that because I mean, when you look at it, the recommended times to harvest chaga are when it is frozen solid, anyways.
yeah.
It's in the burr months. That's up here. We call it the burr months. So November, December is when that's when the chaga is all the nutrients, everything is back into the mushroom. So that's when we would get it, or the fungi on the tree. It's not an actual mushroom. Hey, Donald, good to see you. I try to get it I got to try that because I never actually stored it. I always try to go and look for it fresh every year if we can. Otherwise, we do this where we got the double extract tincture. Now, this one here is actually, if I flip it around, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but that actually has, it's just black. Oh, there you can see it. This is a ground up one here. So this is going to be the 100% proof alcohol for the tincture. And then what I'll do is I'll take that after I'm done. I'll take the ground up portion, and then I take it to the tea side, and we'll put it in our slow cooker, and we'll do the same amount of liquid for mass, and we'll for 3-hour intervals, and then we cook that down, and then what's left, we combine the two of them, and that's how you get your double extract tinctures from.
That's awesome. I need to figure out where I can get some good alcohol to do that.
You got to make
Vodka, I guess.
You should be able to get Everclear.
Yeah, that's the name I was thinking about. It. There you go, Everclear.
Yeah, in Quebec, you should be able to get Everclear.
I'll go check that out.
It's hard to come by here in Ontario, but the last that I purchased was in Quebec, but that we're going back 15 years maybe.
Stuff you can run your vehicle off of. That's what that stuff tastes like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bad. Hey, Justin, good to see you.
Got it.
It's a pretty rough thing. If you guys haven't tried, we were talking about dandelion. If you guys haven't tried it, I do have the video how you can make dandelion jam. It is exactly like honey, and it's delicious. You can even put sometimes we'll put the flower petals in the jam also. Gives a little extra, but it's really good.
And wine. You can make wine out of the blooms.
That's good too. You just gotta be careful.
Mm-hmm.
It can sneak up on you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Karen, for that link. You're awesome. You got the Everclear right there, so you guys can go check that out. That's the kind of alcohol that we could probably get around here to do the tinctures. So,
Colin, chaga is a fungi, yes, but I don't know if you're allergic to it. If you're allergic to mushrooms, I don't know if it would fall underneath the chaga. I don't know about that. One of the things, guys, that like Mallorie was talking about, edibles are going to be different for each person, especially when you get into the medicinal side of things. People that have used medicinal herbs, we can do that and don't have an issue. Others can't do that. Like I can sit there and go in the garden and I'll pick what is called wild spinach and I can eat it all day long. But I know other people they say they get a stomach ache from it if they just eat one of them. So you really have to understand your edibles and what your body is allowed to take in. And one of the keys to that is, especially if I have something that I'm not quite sure about, or if I don't have my reference guides, like my Peterson's hand guides and stuff like that. I got the edible one for my area and I have the medicinal one. But there is a test that you can do, is that you can take whatever it is and put it on the forearm of your hand and let it, now this sit for 15 minutes. And if you don't have a reaction from that, then you can take it to your lips and put it around your lips. And if you don't, for 15 minutes, and if you don't have a reaction to that, it should be safe. But by far, it's so much easier to get these two books. They're wonderful books. You can find them anywhere. Any bookstore should have them.
Mm-hmm. And even on that note, there are some wild mushrooms that have adverse effects if you've consumed alcohol. There are various wild mushrooms that will make you sick if you've consumed alcohol. Most people, knowing this, if they eat them, obviously aren't going to be affected because they're not consuming alcohol when they're eating. But there's a small percentage of people that produce their own alcohol in their stomachs. And they don't necessarily know this, but their gut can ferment and cause alcohol to form. And even if they have not consumed any alcohol, they can end up having adverse effects because of this. Personally, any wild mushroom or edible that has the potential to interact with alcohol like that, I avoid completely.
I wonder if that's because you're too alkaline.
Yeah, like the pH in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different medical things that cause.
Almost Homestead asked, what were these two books? This one here is Peterson's Hand Guide to Medicinal. You can find these on Amazon. Look for the one that's in your area, though. And then the other one is Peterson's Hand Guide, and this is for Eastern, Central, and Northern America. Like I said, you can find them for your area. These are his reference guides, and these books they have the pictures in there, so you can actually get the actual flower. And it tells you what they can be used for. And if there's a medicinal line on it, they'll say medicinal, mints, coffees, teas, so they're worth their money in gold. If you're looking to get into wild edibles, I'm sure Dave's got a bunch of books too, but these are really good ones to have out there.
That one picture that was open in your book looked like sumac.
Probably was. Yes, it was. Smooth sumac, right there it is.
What I thought.
So the tiny red fruit, the sumac, are covered with acidic hairs, a yield of drink. And let me tell you guys, sumac tea is wonderful. Tastes like Kool-Aid. It's really good.
Yeah, lemonade.
Sumac.
Lemonade, yeah. Lemonade, or it depends on how much sugar you put in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good for the kids. The kids will love it, and then the adults will love it later when the kids go to bed too, because you just add your favorite liqueur in there, and it's another good one to have.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Here, I'll get a picture of that right here. Sumac. I know that sumac, you have to look for an open, sunny, well-drained space, and you won't find them in shade.
And you want to get to them really early because there's a spider that likes the sumac too. It's not a dangerous spider. It's just a wilderness spider. But it seems like as soon as they turn ripe, every critter that's out there wants them too. So you got to get them. And we usually watch for them, and we wait till they turn red, and then we're out there.
There you go. And there's also a poison sumac that people sort of get mixed up with. But there's a difference. The poisonous sumac is grown in a swampy area versus the sumac that's good doesn't. It's really in a dried spaces, open sun. And also the sumac has jagged edges on their leaves, and the poison sumac has smooth edges. So just like little things like that. And be sure to do your research for sure before consuming anything. Yeah, I'm going to get this stream out here. There you go. Are there any questions in the chat so far from what we have?
I am just going to run out very quickly and check my evaporator.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be back in just 1 sec.
All right.
Yeah, Justin, don't eat the purple mushrooms, the one that's got the red dots out there. Don't eat those. Leave them alone.
Did we talk about fiddleheads?
Nope, that's next.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's the most popular one here that we have. That almost everybody that I know in my village that doesn't really go out to forage, they know about fiddleheads because we have them in the grocery stores.
They are wonderful as far as, like I told you, if you do like a beer batter and you're with some oil, oh, even garlic and just garlic and garlic powder and black pepper, they're delicious.
Yum, that sounds yummy. I know there is one that also is toxic that looks a little bit like it, and it's got like a white fuzzy.
Yeah, there's a copycat. I think I have a picture of that in here.
Yeah, I'll try to make you a little bit bigger so they can see. The fiddlehead that you're looking for doesn't. It's still got to be. It looks like a violin head, like literally like a fiddlehead. It's completely rolled up, and if it's too open, that's you don't want to get those ones. You want to get them when they're rolled up still and compacted. I don't know where Mark went. He disappeared on me. I know I got a picture here too. Yeah, I wrote that down in the chat. There was just a little fun fact that I wanted to add into there that dandelion root that Mark was talking about that you can roast and make coffee. It is highly, highly, even more nutritive. I'm having a hard time speaking in English. The nutritional value of dandelion root is so much higher than broccoli. I didn't know that. I was doing research yesterday before hopping up live, and I didn't know that.
All right, so here is this. It's actually so here is a fiddlehead. That's one thing nice about these books. And the Ostrich Fern, a large northern fern growing in graceful vase-like clumps from a rootstock. Let me see here. Usually they tell you the look-alike. Where found is rich, moist, wet soil, some sun, stream banks, river banks, open woods, edges, and swamps. Canada south to Ohio. Uses salad asparagus, gather when they're under 6 inches high and still tightly curled. Excellent added to salads or broiled. But they didn't. I know there's a lookalike.
Yeah, it's white and fuzzy.
It says, okay, here it is. It says, do not mistake the young shoots of poison hemlock or water hemlock for the fiddlehead of one of them smaller ferns. So there are two species shown of the common and the tasty species, while fiddleheads and other ferns can permissibly be eaten. None are reported to be poisonous. Many are bitter and unpalatable. That's what I was telling you about. If you put it next to your lip here, if it doesn't taste good, don't eat it. That's plain simple.
There you go. All right. Dave, we were just talking about fiddleheads.
Fiddleheads.
Yeah, we just went over fiddleheads and how to differentiate the good ones from the bad ones that are all white and fuzzy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the particular fiddlehead that most folks are going to want to look for is called the ostrich fern.
Yep. Just found it.
And there's going to be no fuzz whatsoever on it. It's going to have like a brown husk on it. Yeah. I'm sure you could probably find a million pictures of this.
Yes, fiddleheads.
And also the stem will have a U shape to it. Kind of like celery. Exactly like celery, actually.
What kind of taste does it have?
Well, it's really different for everyone, but I mean, it's along the lines of asparagus, I suppose. It's a very unique flavor. And fiddleheads actually, because of the amount that grow around us, I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere out here. And fiddleheads grow here to the point that we put about 5 to 10 pounds away in the freezer every year so that we can eat them all year long.
Do you blanch them first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with fiddleheads, it's a good idea to put them through a hard boil to start off with for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. And the water that you're boiling it in will turn black. And just dump that water out and then rinse them again and then fry them up in some butter and, you know, time of year, leeks, ramps.
Yeah, there you go. Teacher SBD, she's the one that's going to be on the live with me in 2 weeks. She says you have to boil them in 3 waters first, then you can roast them.
Yeah.
She's probably saying like empty the water, change the water, boil it again.
Dave, what's the fake morel name for that mushroom that's the fake morel? Tyler's asking.
There's a few. One of the most common ones for golden morels or yellow morels is Verpa bohemica. And if you look at a picture of Verpa bohemica and golden or yellow morel side by side, you'll see where the confusion can appear.
With I have a really good video on that too. I saw you cut it in half. You can see the inside. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and comparing the two. And so morels will be, if you take the mushroom and you cut it lengthwise, the stem is attached to the cap. There is no differentiation between the stem and the cap. It basically just looks like, you know, it looks like a mushroom, a hollow mushroom cut in half. And then with Verpa bohemica, they can look the same, but the difference is the inside of the Verpas it'll have like a fuzz. It'll almost look like a white mold inside.
Same thing I found out for years. Puffballs. When you're kids, you always like to step on them and shoot the pores out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I found out that's actually harmful to us.
Oh yeah, to inhale.
If you inhale it, and then when you go out and find that same puffball and you fry that up when it's young and solid, it is very good.
Oh yeah,
I was actually impressed with that.
We have giant ones here. The first year that we were just walking around in the maple bush, we found one. It was like this big.
Oh yeah.
We froze it up and we put it in our spaghetti sauce. It was so yummy.
Yeah, we mainly get the tiny puffballs here. They're just little tiny things, and they're called pear-shaped puffballs because they're shaped like a pear.
Yeah.
But they're just these tiny little things, about that big.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're really good if you guys haven't seen them around. But yeah, if you see your kid stepping on them, you tell them don't want to run through the smog from them because it isn't healthy for you. And I know as kids, everybody has done it. So, North Shore preparedness. Nope, this isn't my channel. This is Quebec's channel.
That's me. I didn't put my name in there because I don't know why. I just felt like doing something a little different. I figured if you guys are on my channel, you probably already know that it's me, but I guess I should have maybe put my name in there.
There it is, Curry Doc. He actually talked about Doc Tyler. That's the one that I know a lot around here, Dave, is Curly Doc. And then we just talked about that one not too long ago.
All right, so after fiddleheads and dandelions, which we already went over, I know you said wood sorrel. Wood sorrel is one that I didn't get a picture of, but I really love it. And when I had the kids with me in the market garden, last summer, they would weed and they would just be snacking on it like the whole time.
Yep.
Once I told them that it was edible, they really enjoyed it. So I'll
That's
have a picture of that.
they're really a neat kind of flower too, because it's a clove that folds when it in the morning time. If you look at it, it closes up and they almost look like a heart in the morning. And then when the sun comes out, they'll open up. It's a really distinctive plant. I really enjoy it. And if you like rhubarb, you'll love wood sorrel.
Yeah, it's got like that tart sort of dries your mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it dries up and it waters it right after because I don't know, it's just so awesome, the feeling and the taste. It's sort of like lemony, like sort of.
I think sorrel has some of that too, because you can grow commercially, you can grow sorrel, and it's kind of got the same taste as what wood sorrel does. And it's kind of funny is because that was actually called Woodsman's Treat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it grows everywhere. I know I went
Yep.
to my neighbor's place and we were looking for another little animal underneath and we were trying to trap it and to get it out. And like there was literally no sun. And I went under there and there was a big bush of wood sorrel. I'm like, what are you doing there?
if you look at the top all the way over to the right, you'll see them when they're closed up like that. They look like little hearts.
Yeah. There you go. Whole bunch of them. They grow everywhere.
Yeah, no problem, North Shore. Sean, that's I think your name.
27 in here. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming in. This is literally my first like official live stream, and I didn't want to just do like my first live stream and just be like hop up here and say hello, and like not really have a topic. I really wanted for my first one to have something, and Mark and Dave have been really supportive and helping me trying to set up all my OBS stuff to go live, which I'm not using finally. I'm boycotting OBS for a little while. But since they didn't know each other, and so I decided to have them up and have them meet and go get their channels if you don't have them already. They are really awesome. Dave is in Ontario and Mark is in Wisconsin, and Mark did a 7-day challenge, winter challenge bushcraft with Waypoint Adventures and Tyler Wood Bushcraft. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's how I got to know them actually, and I'm just hooked. So, and there's a whole bunch of people in the chat right now that are followers of Mark and all them guys. So, thank you guys so much for showing up. It means a lot. Honestly.
Tyler's talking about Partridge Berry now. I've never heard of that one. I've heard of elderberry and gooseberry and
Yeah, Partridge Berry it's an interesting one. It's not a choice edible, but if you're needing survival food, if you're lost, it's something that you can eat. It's virtually flavorless and very mealy. I bet if Mallorie brings up a picture or if you find one there, you'll be like, okay, I know, I've seen that stuff.
Yeah, I probably have, but I've never, usually my thing is the first time that if I don't have never tested anything or tried it out, I'll do the little test thing. And if I put it,
like it's the leaves that you'll recognize the most.
yeah, I recognize the leaves, but the fruit.
A lot of people mistake it. They mistake it for wintergreen.
That's what I'm just gonna say. It looks really close to wintergreen. That little on the bottom there. I will have to. Tyler, what do they use it for by you that you brought it up?
Funny thing, actually, I hope I'm right here. Tyler will say whether or not I am. I think I found Tyler's channel from a channel called LA Beast.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I've been YouTubing since like 2007.
Uh-huh.
So is the Beast. And so I watched him quite a bit. And I remember just Tyler Bushcraft Tyler Wood Bushcraft popping up, and I was like, oh, Bushcraft. Okay, well, I'll check this out.
What's really funny is because he has a video he did a long time ago, and it was with Eeyore. And it was at the same time that we started growing the Carolina Reaper and the ghost peppers. And I gave one of my Reapers to my boss because he wanted this hot pepper. He was going to make a tincture with, he wanted to infuse it with his like high price vodka. He wanted to try to put one of these peppers in there. I said, why would you do this? And then I came in the next day, he says, hey, you got to check this out. This guy's crazy. And that's the first time that I met the beast is his buddy's dressed up as Eeyore and he's trying to eat this pepper and he gets cold cocked and it was funny. But that's the first time that I ever met the beast. And then Tyler told me that he's good buddies with him. I'm like, what are you doing with that kind of a guy? You know, and then I started watching and I'm like, oh, okay, he's I see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does some pretty crazy stuff. I went to check him out too after meeting Tyler, and I was like, oh my gosh, nope.
Yeah, I sent Tyler with a 1 pound bag of these things home with him. And when he first got him home, I actually conned him to eat 2, but then he gave them to his mom after that. He didn't want nothing to do with them anymore.
All right, guys, let's get back to the wild edibles.
Yes.
If you
Where are we now? Are we in July now?
I think, well, cattail?
Cattail.
Is that in July?
Cattail is almost an all year thing, depending on the what you're looking for out of the cattail.
Well, if you're looking for the root, I think you can go all year. I know root is full of starch. You can make flour out of it. But if you're looking for the shoots, I'm pretty sure here it's like in June.
I like the root because that is you throw that on the fire and the spaghetti because it'll open up and it's stringy and strandy. And when I first played around with cattail, that was the first thing that I tried, and it was kind of interesting to see that would open up to like spaghetti.
Yeah, that is awesome. Now you have to open up like the whole thing and like peel it out and take the core inside, and that is what's.
Tyler's talking about shepherd's purse too. There's another one that's in the garden.
Yeah. And I know cattail as well. Like there's another use for it too. I know as Teacher SBD, she has a video on that. It's all French, but this images speak for themselves. She makes like sort of like she weaves the cattail leaves that you don't use together, and she sort of makes like a basket or something. I think that's awesome.
I've seen people use them as like for fishing traps. I've seen them used for carrying because they are so strong that you can actually make yourself like a basket out of it. There's a lot of things that you can do just with the leaves itself.
Even the like the flowering plume, if you break that up and spread it out, and you've got a flint,
makes awesome tinder. Yep.
Oh, you're guaranteed. It's basically one spark. As long as you got the rest of your tinder and stuff ready to go.
It's a.
Yep.
My daughter, I was saving these for seed. She bit into it in my bathroom and it exploded. It exploded and now it's crazy. It went crazy.
Yeah. And so that stuff, if you fluff that out and you need to get a fire going and you have a flint, you instantly have fire.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with the cattail. In the wintertime, they're sticking out of the ground, and we'll be walking around, and we'll grab a bunch of them. And then if we find some paper birch, we'll grab that up, and it makes like Dave's saying, tall grass, your swamp grass and stuff like that. It's all dry. It makes just an unbearable bird's nest, and it's just one of those things where you can take and just. That'd be great for Tyler's 6-foot fire that he did, is because you can just hit it and spark fly and you got it.
I might have a video here that I can
share your screen.
Well, probably I'm not sure how to do that yet, but I'll hold my phone up to the camera.
Okay.
Sure. If you go down to the bottom where you see the mic, the stop cam, and then the little the cog wheel.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then he says share screen.
I don't know if I have this one outside of, here we go. Just give me 1 sec here. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, this might not work too well. You know what I'll do? We'll come back to this. I'll share this onto my Mac, and then we can do exactly what you're talking about there. Take a second.
I know a cattail can be also mistaken for iris. That usually
From the water iris. Yeah, usually they're side by side.
yeah,
At least here they are.
Yeah, you don't want to be picking that. And also, one thing I wanted to add for the cattail, cattail is a water purifier. So, I mean, it's an awesome thing, but you don't want to be picking them in stagnant waters or places
No.
where, they could have toxins in there, because then you'll be eating those toxins. So get them where there's nice fresh water flowing and nice open spaces. Just wanted to add that in there.
So cattail and what? You got horsetail. You can make teas out of that. And then you're going to go into the fall where you're going to go for the nuts. Black walnut, acorns, all those especially for us. Black walnut is a huge one for us because a quarter cup of black walnut is enough protein for a man for the day.
Yeah.
So
I think I have this cattail thing ready to go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go grab some water.
And don't forget about the berries too. Here in late June, little strawberries, field strawberries start, and I have a ton on my property. They really love acidic soils and poor soils. So if you're looking for those, go search for like a place where there's brush and trees sort of growing along in a field that hasn't been taken care of for many years, and you'll find a whole bunch of them. The only thing is that the grass sort of overtakes it by the time that it's ready, so you have to search through the grass to find them. And then there's raspberries. Raspberries and blueberries are a little bit later, but definitely little berries are not to be forgotten because they are awesome.
Okay, so I'll play this thing now.
All right.
This is a little bit of a teaser for what we have been doing to downsize. We live in a very, very tiny house here. So we've been removing various pieces of furniture. So you may see something being burned in this. It was fun. It was sad, but it was fun. So let's try this.
Okay, I got you full screen.
So that is cattail.
Wow.
And it just keeps burning. We have some birch bark in there too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
I have pieces of cattail fluff flying around my house since I got that little pogo stick out. All right, I'm going to go back in the chat a little bit.
Well, now that we know that screen share thing, that makes things really easy.
Right?
I had pictures and all kinds of stuff that
you could have shared out.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm just sort of getting used to this stream too, and like figuring out how to manage the screens and the chat at the same time. So sorry if I'm not too interactive in the chat, but thank you guys so much for being here. I saw my brother Julian's here from Alaska.
All the way from Alaska. Oh yeah, he was in the test stream there. Yeah.
He was. was.
Yep.
And he's the one singing in my video that I went out for my forest video. Got a beautiful conch here, an artist conch, which is also used. You can carve in the inside, use it as a hat. They used it to repel mosquitoes, or you could just leave them on the tree, and it's called an artist conch, not for nothing. They would carve in little designs in here, and it would literally just stay a different color, and this was like a blank canvas. Or you can use it to send secret messages on the tree. Leave it on the tree, write down the secret message underneath, and that's how like they used it back when. It's so huge.
It is huge.
I was thinking too, as I'm looking at my plants on the grow tables here, a lot of your seasonings that you use every day in your kitchen are also medicinal. Your thyme, your sage, your oregano, they all have medicinal properties. So it really is, go and check out what your stuff is, and you'd be surprised. For example, thyme is used as a cough suppressant if you make it into a tincture.
Did you talk about wild mint earlier, Mark?
Yeah, we have wild mint. We use that. One of the things is for obviously your teas. A fresh glass of water with a lime and some mint, and it's a very good, refreshing drink to have. You can do that anywhere. The other thing is it is really good for children for tummy aches. If you remember, like parsley, is you see it on your plate as a decorative. People usually see that and throw it off to the side, but that was actually to help with indigestion, heartburn, and it's supposed to be refreshing after you're finished eating. So that little piece of parsley at the end of the plate when you go out to eat, that's what it's supposed to be there for. Usually before I learned that, I used to eat that beforehand, but now I wait till after I'm done eating like I'm supposed to.
And I know wild mint is also found along riverbanks.
Julian, we touched on that earlier at the beginning of the live, just to make it clear that folks need to know what they're foraging.
Yeah.
You can't just go out and what's that line again? You can't just go out and pick things and eat them.
No.
And sometimes too, just like the stinging nettle, the jewel weed that's below the stinging nettle, they grow hand in hand. If you do get hit with a stinging nettle, obviously it's going to be irritating. Some people, it gets really bad. But the plant below it is called the jewel weed. You can take the leaf from that, and where you got stung by the stinging nettle, this is the cure for it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
There's so many cures in the wild that we don't know about. There's a pharmacy, and there's also a grocery store in our forest, literally.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't touch on burdock root, all of that other stuff. There's so many different things that are out there that are just phenomenal. That salve that we're just talking about with plantain and yarrow. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful salve. I mean, this.
Sorry.
What?
You were talking about nuts earlier. Do you guys have the long wild nuts, the long beaked nuts?
Mostly what we have here is acorns and black walnut.
I'm gonna go grab a picture of the ones that we have.
I think I know what you're talking about, Mallorie. They're hazelnut, wild hazelnut.
Probably.
And we have those here as well.
You have to get them fast because them squirrels.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You'd be everybody gets all uptight because of black walnuts. They stain anything and everything. Native Americans use it for their design. It was one of their main colors because it was easy and abundant. But found out later on that it is very high. That little musk around that nut is very high in iodine. It is a natural iodine, as a matter of fact. And you can buy the tinctures for that now. Yeah, we don't have them. They got the prickly, the kind of thorny thing on them at the beginning. Yeah, we don't.
This one here is a great example. And they don't have, I've never seen them on a really big tree. They're like on a bushy tree, like not that high, but
Yeah,
they are.
it's more like a shrub.
Yeah, it is more like a
Mhm.
shrub. And they're mostly on the side of a gravel road. That's where I found them mostly. I have plenty on the side of my street.
I'll have to do some research on that. But if you guys do got black walnuts, uh, pick them, harvest them. They're so good for you. I know they're a pain to get out of the shell, but I'll tell you what, they're great for salads, anything, you know. And it's a different taste that most people like. The first time I had it, it said, you know, yeah, it smelled like an old paperback book. But then after I started to roast them and do different things with them, you get into the taste. And like with all wild edibles, you know, at first you might not understand because it's a different flavor than what your palate is originally used to. You're used to going to the store and grabbing a pepper, a red pepper, and you know that it's going to be sweet. You know what that taste is. Plants are a little bit different depending on the weather, the climate, how it grew, where it grew. They can change just like our jelly changes from year to year just because of the different areas that we pick our dandelions from.
Here, there's a question in here. It says, how do you keep your squirrels away from your hazelnuts? You have to just beat them.
Yeah.
You just have to beat them. That's it.
Well, you always can make squirrel stew.
Yeah, or squirky, squirrel jerky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not hungry enough for that. I'd rather eat nuts. So.
On the note of black walnuts.
There you go. He's got some right there. I got a bunch downstairs too.
Well, these are actually butternut that we have in our fridge cold stratifying right now.
Wow.
Oh.
So that we can plant them.
Nice.
Who knows if they'll grow, but you know, we're that kind of people that we try and grow weird things here. Yeah. And these are actually from just about an hour south of us. Some friends that have a big butternut tree.
We do the same thing too, Dave. I've been trying for the last 2 years because a Quince Tree, that would be the equivalent to a Russian lemon, I would guess, is what a Quince Tree would be up, you know, in our environment. I'm like, you know, I really want the citrus trees. So we got a couple quinces. And this last couple of years, I've been working on trying to get some peach trees to go, but they just do not want to start up here. I might be just at that borderline, even though they're for a colder environment. They just don't like this area or something.
Yeah.
See, we have black walnuts here too, but I'm not sure if they will be able to become mature enough, long enough to produce the nuts. And also a good thing to know, I have horses, so black walnut is highly toxic.
Yep.
So you got to make sure that if you were planning on planting any, to keep them away from them. And also, I've heard, I'm not 100% sure, but that's why I didn't plant them out last year. They were given to me. I have like 10 trees to plant. They're about like 3 to 4 feet tall. The racines, oh my gosh, the roots are toxic as well to the potato and tomato family. So you don't want to plant them near those harvests if you're planning on planting them.
I noticed that my corn didn't do so hot around, which is really funny because I'm a farm boy. I've been raised on a farm all my life. And on the farm, we'd have our cornfields alongside the black walnuts, and I never seen any issues there. But when I tried to plant sweet corn next to a black walnut tree, they didn't do hot on that side where the first couple rows where that was closer to that tree. So yeah, you're right. There's actually a lady that I read the article where she was talking about the toxins that come off of the root, and some plants don't like being around it at all.
Yeah. It's because I think the roots produce like tubulars or something. I'm not exactly sure of how it is, but yeah, it's. I know potatoes and tomatoes, not a good mix, and horses.
That's just like your pine needles they give off, and where if we're talking about nuts, acorns. Just like a black walnut, you got to wash the tannins out of it. Otherwise, the old timers used to stick bags, gunny sack bags in the creek, a good moving creek, and they let them sit and flush out for a couple days before they go back and get them.
Yeah.
Same thing with black walnuts, the tannins in them, you got to get them out, and it's going to be a chore. Actually, what I use is a pressure washer, and it pulls the husk off and cleans all the tannins out. It's one crack. Makes a mess out of you, though.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, we had a giant black walnut tree in the yard, and I don't even know why, for no reason whatsoever, I would collect them all in 5-gallon buckets.
Yep.
And then they'd fill up with rain.
And then you get that black tannin water.
And I'd go to dump them out because my mom or dad told me to go get rid of those buckets of nuts. And I'd get it all over my hands, and my hands would just be green and yellow, and yeah.
I went to work last year all the way. I had gloves on, and these big old paws, there was a hole from when I was husking, and the next thing you know is you start to sweat with nitrate gloves on. And I go pull my glove off, and here, from about here up, was black walnut color. So I go to work, and everybody's like, "What happened to your hand?" I said, "Oh, I got this rare fungi disease that was picking on something, and it's just people leave you alone." I'm like, "Hey, that's a good idea." So
it does make a good natural weed killer, though. You know, if you have an area that you say want to get a garden going for next year, not this year, you can soak a bunch of black walnut and use that water as a herbicide.
Neem oil is another good one too for bugs and stuff like that. If you guys ever check out neem oil, that's another good one. But yeah, it's a good tanner too. If you want to be that nice dark tan color, you can use black walnut.
I know for pests as well, you can use rhubarb leaves and make a sort of tincture out of that too for pests. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, actually, I heard of somebody that did it last year, and my rhubarb, I was just still separating it and trying to get many plants out of it. So I didn't want to touch it much. I wanted to let it grow. But
another really good one, if you guys is white vinegar, Dawn dish soap, and a little bit of salt in a sprayer. And I've watched it kills quackgrass and like nothing. You spray it on there a couple times and it's gone.
Yeah, Epsom salt. You put Epsom salt in there. I've used that for my walkway at my old homestead before coming here, and it really helped.
Yeah, I've done just straight vinegar.
Yeah, I haven't tried the straight one. I did the mix, and that worked out really good. Put it in a big sprayer, and away I go. But then I figured out everything that I had in my garden, not only the vegetables, but the plant or the weeds were edible, so we quit doing that.
So we should move on to some summertime mushrooms.
Yes. Definitely.
Chanterelles.
Yes. I'm going to go get some more pictures here.
Turkey tails.
2 seconds.
Chicken of woods. You guys have chicken of the woods up there, Dave?
We do. The oak population here is pretty small.
Okay.
So, I mean, they are around, but not in huge numbers unless, if you really know where you're looking and you have your secret spot, which most people with chicken of the woods up here aren't going to give up.
Yeah. Well, if you can find a colony where you get like 5 to 10 pounds, that's a nice batch. I wouldn't let that one out either.
We lived down in Connecticut for a year, quite a while back, and the amount of chicken of the woods that we were able to harvest down there was just insane. You almost couldn't go for a hike anywhere without seeing it.
And it's a really lucrative business too, is the wild mushrooms. If you know, I know a lot of guys that do that where they'll go and get wild mushrooms, and there's a lucrative business in that. They make good money.
All right, I'm looking up some pictures for chanterelle.
That's what I'm doing too.
Oh. Okay. Well, I got one.
Hey, Chelsea.
All right, so chanterelles. When do you pick chanterelles?
Generally, where we are, they start late July into mid-August. And for the yellow or golden chanterelle, they will continue. I've harvested them as late as mid-September here.
All right, so it's a later harvest.
Yeah, it's
busy.
summertime.
So there's a true chanterelle and the faux chanterelle. This is the good one, the one that you're looking for.
I can share my screen now with a bunch of.
Definitely.
Busy's asking, is chicken of the woods the same as turkey tail?
No.
You're gonna turkey
Very different mushroom.
Yeah. Busy, the chicken in the woods, if you find them in masses, they're usually like an orange color, and they'll be, you'll like here we'll find these masses that are like this of all these little mushrooms coming out, and they're usually you're gonna find them on your oak or your hardwoods.
Hey Chelsea, hey Marianne.
But turkey tail is a really distinctive thing because it has multiple colors coming off the mushroom. Take care, damn it. Be good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it won't share this.
I'll get one up here.
Wait, maybe if it's because I have one already open. Let's stop this screen.
I should be able to do just mushrooms, and it should pull out.
Got it.
There we go. Okay. So that's some yellow chanterelles there. And you can see you see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see the gills on these are much different than your regular mushroom gills.
Mm-hmm.
And these are not true gills because they creep down the stem and just kind of disappear into the stem. Whereas with, your regular, let's just say cremini mushroom or white button mushroom that you would get at the grocery store, the gill would just go straight underneath the cap there and end at the stem. And I can go through a few here.
Okay, so Dave, I want you to tell everybody why you harvest with a net like that.
Well, there are different schools of thought on.
Oh, wait a minute.
Am I still here?
Okay,
Yep, you're here.
I don't know what you popped off.
There we go.
Okay.
So, the reason that I do it is because I believe that when you're walking around in the woods, you have the potential to be dropping spores from the mushrooms while you're walking around.
Yeah.
Some folks don't subscribe to that idea. And that's fine. It's just differing opinions. But I can either carry my mushrooms around when I'm in the bush in a mesh bag like that, or I can do it in a paper bag or, a knapsack or things like that. But if I potentially am helping out the population of the mushrooms, then I'm happy to do that.
Here you go, Busy. So here's the turkey tails.
Yeah, I totally believe that the spores of the mushrooms, like I know some people will harvest it with a knife and then they'll tap it on the ground or something, like right where they harvested, to just like make the spores like fall to the ground so that they reproduce the next year. I totally believe that.
I do too, and that's why I harvest in that method.
Yeah.
So turkey tail is actually medicinal as far as an edible too. So one of the things with mushrooms, you got to be careful of what you're doing. So I know my 4 or 5 that I go and get all the time, some mushrooms there's a lot of lookalikes unless you have a really good knowledge on your mushrooms or a good book. Be careful.
Yeah.
I have a birch polypore that I harvest in the winter months. Here, so I got. It's pretty much the same values of chaga. It's just the taste is so much more bitter. So you try to hide it, and I hide it in the chaga tea, and I get some spruce needles in there, and in the beginning you need a little bit of honey, but then as you sort of get used to the taste, now I just don't need it anymore. I just use it straight up and I drink it. It's really good for immunity boosting and everything, cancers
And then Busy, here's Chick of the Woods. And like you'll see here when Mel brings it up, they're like a family. They have a colony that they grow together. And so when you see Chick in the Woods, they're gonna, like, this guy's holding this big mass here. That's what I was talking about. Is they're usually in a colony.
That's awesome.
But they are wonderful tasting. You fry them up in a pan. Oh,
What tree do you find those on?
well, we find them all, like you saw that in that picture there. It comes in hardwood, and then sometimes I seen a picture that they just showed on here. It looked like that. It looked like it was in the bottom of a birch.
And what?
Yeah, they're primarily an oak tree thing.
Oak tree, okay.
And they'll sometimes grow on hemlock and other evergreen trees. It's a general recommendation to avoid chicken of the mushroom that's growing on any evergreen tree. And that's mainly because of the toxins that can be pulled in, like you think turpentine, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Chelsea's asking me how my maple syrup was. I'm just going to go get that real quick.
Oh, here's one, Dave, the Hen of the Woods.
Yeah.
That's huge. I've never seen one that this guy's standing next to it and it's as tall as he is, right on the side of the tree. Wow.
That's my maple syrup from today.
Wow, that's nice and light, Mallorie. Yeah. You guys are just getting started.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to be doing any more.
Look how dark we're at now.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, we are just getting started.
I mean,
but I don't know.
A few weeks ago we were that late.
Yeah, but they say, I think our season is shorter than yours is, though. So, yeah, because I know, like, a lot of the big sugar bushes are pretty much on the end of their season right now. So
yeah, well, we're at the end now for sure.
Yeah,
the trees are about to bud.
So, yeah, I gotta be a true Canadian right here, right now.
I'll join you.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Cheers, Dave.
So good.
It is. You guys do not know what you're missing. I talked to somebody last week and he says, I think it was Nathan from Samson's Farm. He says, I never tasted real maple syrup. I was like, what? I need to send you some.
Yeah, well, when you do that, as a kid, your whole life and collecting sap bags and taking it to a trailer, it gets old.
Suzanne, Teacher SBD, no, I boiled it. I don't have an evaporator. I just boiled it on my propane stove outside for like the big pots. That's what I did.
Now, is it true that if you boil that in the house that you get like a sticky substance all over your house?
No.
Karen told me that happens. Your walls get sort of sticky.
No. See, here's the thing. Everyone says that, okay? And I've been making maple syrup for like 35 years. And, the thing is, the sugar stays in the syrup.
Mm-hmm.
Your house is going to get really wet. And if you have wallpaper, yes, it's probably going to peel off the walls. But your house won't get sticky.
I was going to say, when I was like in the evap room and stuff like that when we were kids growing up, and you know, the walls in there were never sticky, and that's a huge evaporator.
Yeah, I don't even know where the idea came from, but you know, every maple syrup season on Facebook, on the homesteading groups and stuff, everyone's like, don't boil it in your house. And to me, I finish all of our syrup in the house here.
Oh, really?
And because I mean, so like right now our house is 34% humidity. And it gets down as low as 20% humidity throughout the winter here. Tiny house, wood heat.
So you guys are actually drier in the wintertime then, huh?
Oh yeah, big time. But come maple syrup season, when I'm able to finish my batches inside and get the humidity up to 40-50% in here, it's a welcoming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. When I'm running wood in the wintertime too, we got a humidifier that I'm throwing out, and that thing I'm running constantly trying to keep this house have some kind of moisture, because the wood heat really does dry it out.
Yeah.
And for all of you guys that are wanting to maybe tap just a few maples like I did this year, this is just a test. I only tapped like 3 maples, 2 little ones and 1 big one. If you want to have a better ratio, like my ratio was 30-1, because I took all the sap that I had. I didn't have enough to boil like every day. So I boiled it took me about 4 to 5 days to get the quantity to boil a full, like probably like to here. And so we boiled that, but we put it in the freezer, in the deep freezer, for like 4 days. And then when we came to boil it, we got the big ice of the water out, and so that we didn't have to boil as long. So it only took us I don't know how many hours. It didn't take us all day like it does a big sugar camp, and we got a much better ratio.
Now, one thing I will say, Mallorie, there is a video on the Wilderstead channel.
Yeah.
Where I basically did the same thing.
Yeah.
Except I kept the ice separate, and I boiled only the ice.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it as a cliffhanger.
All right. Yeah, good one. I'm gonna go see that for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's from last spring, so you'll have to go back. You'll have to kind of dig back that far, but.
Well, here you go, Mallorie. Here's another guy that just is in your chat. Howie from Food Formist Permaculture.
Oh yeah.
He is one of those guys that is good to have on your list of to watch. Let me tell you, Howie knows to do the gardening and all that other stuff. He's been a long time subscriber of my channel, and he's got a lot of stuff going on over on his end.
There you go. I'll put him as a moderator. I've been following Howie for a little while. I know, like, his stuff blooms so fast, and I lived in BC for a little while, so I have old friends on the island. So I think they passed away like last year, but my family friends that were on the island, I still have a whole bunch of contacts everywhere. So, and I have a food forest in the making, so I'm definitely following their channel.
Yeah, Howie knows his stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
All right, let me go see. Were there any other summer mushrooms that you harvest, Dave?
More so moving. Just let me address one thing here. Fox at Outdoors. Unfortunately, that's the only light I have in my house. So it's either that or
Can't see him.
Yeah, I know. We were trying to get that figured out. Maybe.
He's got the beam.
Yeah. So I apologize for that, Fox. But let me think here. After the chanterelles, we get into the fall mushrooms. So you're looking at puffballs and things like that. And those are the big puffballs and the small puffballs. And my favorite is yellowfoot chanterelle, otherwise known as winter chanterelle.
I'm gonna go get the picture of that yellowfoot.
I should have some here, but these are my favorite wild mushroom. I mean, I used to be quite partial to morels.
Can I? Oh, I have to get this one up. While I'm getting that on there, I just wanted to say that puffball in French is pet de loup, which is translated to wolf's fart.
Wolf's fart.
Where do you guys come up with these words?
Wait, no, that's not the right one. Wait, I have to get your stream out. I think, Dave, you have to take it out.
I've got one here.
Oh, you got it?
I've got one here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. It left. I couldn't get it on here. Let's get it back on.
I think, Dave, I'm going to have to learn French as a second language.
Wait.
I just like the these translate wolf's fart. What the heck does that mean? So puffball.
Pet de loup. So when you squish them, like the puff goes out.
Yeah.
That's the word. Pet de loup. Wolf's fart.
Well, these mushrooms are in the same family as chanterelles. They're much smaller. I'm not sure if I have more. Whoop. Hey, it's Canada.
Yeah.
It's cannabis season.
But we keep these. These are one mushroom that we eat a lot of.
So you dehydrate them?
Yep.
And what do you put them in when you, I was wondering that the other day, like you can dehydrate a whole bunch of stuff in mushrooms, but do you put them in soups or?
Oh, we reconstitute them in water and then add them to chili or to soups or stir fries. And I mean, it's the same with like, we have all kinds of different wild mushrooms that we use throughout the entire year.
Awesome.
All right, Mallorie, what does Lee mean?
What?
Busy says just see Lee in front of all my words that I say and I'll fit right in.
Le.
What?
Okay. Just say le at
Le.
the end of every sentence. You'll start
Le.
to fit right in there.
Is that like le boat?
Or are you saying busy le?
Le?
Like le?
Le? Le?
I think that's a lay.
We have like a weird slang, a weird accent in Quebec. It's really not the same as France and like lolo. We have a whole bunch of weird slangs. Like I told you, Mark, the other day, like I have dirty mouth in French, but I mean, that's just how we talk. That's just the way that the language is here. And they're not even real swear words. It's just that we sort of said they were swear words. So I don't know.
Well, even throughout Canada, as far as, because we all learn French in school and English, but we are taught France French.
Yeah.
You know, we're not taught Canadian French.
Yeah, definitely. When I got here, I was 8 years old, and I talked français de France. And when I was in third grade, they wanted to make me skip a grade because I wasn't able to grasp the accent. That was pretty intense. We have a really strong slang.
That's like we have a lot of Germans that are in Wisconsin, especially in some areas, and they do pig Latin, and the first time I ever heard that, I'm like, you're talking backwards. And, what did he just say? But after a while, you get used to it. It's kind of funny to listen to them because they're like you. They go, oh, and I'm like, what did you just say? So I said, I'm going to learn another language.
Ixnay on the hombre.
See, he knows too.
Well, here's a good one that I'm pretty sure you guys will understand until I say esti. Okay. Je vous aime en esti.
Honesty?
No, honesty means like, I don't know. It's just a Quebecois slang to say je vous aime was I love you guys. Honesty is like just like to add an extra oomph to what I just said.
She's in a Quebec mobster over there. She's talking another language.
I just told you guys that I love you guys, so hush.
There we go.
All right, so I know that there's one edible that I skipped through that I had in my notes that I really wanted to talk about, and that was the red clover. Red clover is super high in protein. Like it's like one of the most protein crude fat edible that you'll find out there. It's 20% crude fat, and the leaves and the flowers can be eaten raw. But you have to be careful not to eat too much of them because it can cause indigestion. And it's best to let it steep in water for a good hour before consuming it. But you can consume it in larger quantities if you do that, or if you like. Well, yeah. So when you put in the water and you let it steep, you lose about 50% of the vitamin B and C. But if you drink the water from the boil, if you boil it down, that's even better. You can eat a lot more. Then all the nutrients are retained in the water, so you can also get those vitamins by drinking the water.
There's another one I just thought about too. Now you're talking about the teas and stuff. Is guys, don't overlook the raspberry. Raspberry leaf is huge. Not only can you eat the fruit, but the leaf is very, very good for you. So do your research on it. If you've noticed any of your teas that you've seen, you're going to see clover. You're going to see raspberry leaf. I've seen it with chamomile. Nettle. Some of the more exotic teas, I see a lot of like the tiger teas and stuff like that. They have a lot of those things in there. Clover. I don't think it's red clover. I just think it's regular clover. Alfalfa is another one you think of. Well, that's what cows eat is alfalfa. Well, believe it or not, there's nutrition in there and vitamins and minerals. So,
yep. Teacher, she understood me. She's like honesty. She's laughing in there.
Who?
Teacher SBD is Suzanne. She's the one that has the bushcraft channel in Quebecois in French, and she's got a whole bunch of wild recipes, which are really awesome. That's how I found her channel, actually. Because I don't know, I guess I love you guys, bushcraft people. You guys got me wanting to go build a camp back in my 200 acres.
Well, you might as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, then you got mullein too. We could talk about. Hey, busy. How's RB ready? How's it going? Hey. You got the mullein. You have there's. I mean, the list of stuff is long and medicinal wise. Mullein was used for respiratory issues back in the day. They used to smoke mullein leaf, believe it or not.
They would smoke it for respiratory issues?
Yeah, it's not like the smoke you're thinking. You light it and you breathe in the smoke, and it was supposed to help with a respiratory sore throat kind of thing. It was kind of weird.
Huh.
Well, I mean, likewise, even tobacco smoke has been used as an asthma alleviator.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I mean, that's going way back, but
a lot of things too, guys, is that a lot of this stuff we all have bits and pieces. But back in the day, like when the Pilgrims and the homesteaders, the pioneers, that's all they had. They didn't have a grocery store they could go to. So the knowledge that if you get a group of, I think if Mallorie wanted to do this, twice a month, this would be a huge thing. Just because the fact is, this tradition is lost. A lot of people don't use this anymore, and it has helped us out tremendously in a lot of different areas. So if you can get into your understanding your edibles in your area, get some books, talk to people that are knowledgeable in that area. With Dave with the mushrooms, I know my local ones that I use, but just by watching him and seeing what he's done, I've learned stuff just by watching what he's doing. So you got to, you get that knowledge and that base going, and you can do a lot of stuff. Make some really good food, let me tell you.
Definitely. Yep. And Mark was telling me something before we hopped on here. It'd be really interesting for you guys, like I could just throw a challenge out there. You guys just to go out there and throw a wild salad together. Just put it together, eat it, take a picture of it, tag me on Instagram, whatever, and I would love to see those. Definitely. Tag us all.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that this year I'm going to be putting a lot of focus on our channel is completely foraged feasts.
Yeah.
I did one episode last fall that was just I went out into the bush and an entire meal in about 2 or 3 hours. So it was a wild salmon that I caught, and then a number of different wild mushrooms. And then I also snuck in some of our fiddleheads that I had in the freezer from the springtime.
You brought that up, Dave, and it reminded me. At first, I thought this guy was a lunatic. When I got this book, I'm like, this guy's off his rocker. And then I started looking into this. And this is a book, and it's exactly what Dave's talking about. This guy goes, and all he does is makes gourmet meals out of wild edibles. And the stuff that he's got in here just blows your mind. Here, he's got a whole thing on wood sorrel. That's what kind of made me laugh when I was looking at this. But look at this soup in this on the side of this picture here. If I can get it up here, he's got gourmet meals just out of edibles that he goes and picks. It's
I know, it's people don't know what they're missing out on.
Yep.
And it does. I mean, Mark and myself, I'm sure we've both been foraging for decades.
Yep.
Like, I mean, we have plants that we're very comfortable with, and people have to start small. They got to start, just focus on just a couple of things and get to know them really well.
Yeah.
You'll see too that plant, if you go and pick it next year, it's going to taste different, but it's that plant. And the reason why it's going to taste different is because of the season that it grew in. Mm-hmm. It could be hotter, it could be drier. And that's what's really with the medicinal side of things, why plant-based has worked so well through so many years with medicinally, because a germ, a virus, a bacteria can't get used to it because it changes every year. It's going to be stronger. There's going to be more stuff in there. And that's the cool thing about it. Valerie, look at this taco this guy made, all out of edibles.
Let me get you bigger.
Look at that.
Oh, wow. It's sort of your green screens.
Yeah, my green screen's screwing it up, but I see sorrel. I see all kinds of stuff that's in there. He's got a bowl full of salad in here. I mean, this book is phenomenal.
You're gonna have to get that link and drop it in the description of this live stream.
You can find him on www.wildfoodadventures.com.
All right.
He's got a pizza, believe it or not, on the back of this book.
I think that's what Tyler was talking about earlier in the chat. I was wondering what he was talking about, that wild pizza.
Yeah. Besides, it looks like he's got black olives on there. I don't think he got that, but
no.
There's another challenge, guys. Make a wild edible pizza.
There's a challenge. Holy. Yep. All right,
challenge
guys,
accepted.
I gotta start thinking of
Dave will come out with his 4-course style pizza.
I gotta start thinking about heading out here, guys. We've been on here for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, it's been 2 hours.
Yeah, it went by fast. So I guess we can go like just another like couple minutes here just to go through the chat and see if we missed any questions real quick. But I am really, really happy with the turnout. You guys are awesome for like my first official live. And I was really nervous in the beginning, but you guys are really welcoming and that's
I
fun.
told you, it's just like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the worst stage fright though. Like if I go sing in front of like my family, I will totally have the nerves. Like you go back to the playback in the beginning of this video and you'll see how nervous I was. I was speaking really fast, losing my words.
Just when you get into one of live streams, all you got to think about is that time you use yourself as a snowplow to get out of the barn. If you can do that on camera, you can talk and do whatever you want to do.
Thomas, awesome, man. Those are the best bread and butter pickles that you will ever try. If they're not, you can come and find me.
Oh my
And
gosh,
I'll try
Dave.
them. And I'll make that decision.
I'll have to go check that one out because I'm a huge one on pickles.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, yep.
I'm gonna go get my pickles for you before we leave.
That particular bread and butter pickle recipe, my grandma taught me how to make that when I was like 5. And I made it with her probably till I was like 13 or 14. And then, you know, when you're 13, 14, you don't hang out with your grandma as much anymore. You go out and do your own stuff.
When I found out that I didn't have to
remember the recipe.
Oh yeah. When I found out that I didn't have to put them in a pressure canner anymore, and all I do is pack them hot and flip them upside down and just put a towel over them. Oh, was I making some pickles in, boy? Let me tell you. And pickles, that whole kitchen table is full of different pickles.
I'm gonna have to eat one after this, not make this a mukbang video.
Our last live show, Amanda did a pickle taste test.
I know, I was there. I was in your live. That's why I went to go get my pickles. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was. That is awesome. I'm sorry. So in the chat, you did great. Thank you. Thank you along the river homestead. Awesome. You guys in the chat are so active. Crazy. You guys are awesome.
You're getting so close to 1,000, Mallorie.
I am.
I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 weeks it happens.
Yeah, probably. It's been growing really fast in my French videos. I've been doing a lot of French seed starting and gardening videos because there's not too many of real Quebec content. Since I told you, like, our language is particular and not like French from France. So I've been trying to tap into that and it's been paying off. It's been paying off quite a bit. So, and I've been trying to subtitle a few videos. I got one French one completely subtitled from my skidder video. We were trying to get our loader on the skidder because it doesn't originally go on that. It goes on the tractor. And so Ben had to get a new welded hole on there and we wanted to see if it was working and we got sort of stuck. And anyways, yeah, go check that one out. There's some subtitles. It's 5 minutes. But yeah, I'm getting there, almost to 1,000. And thanks to Mark too. He's been shouting me out. Waypoint Adventures has been shouting me out. Tyler, you guys are awesome. Really awesome. Thank
Now
you.
that you got me going on a pickle thing, I had to go downstairs and get some of our bread and butter and our dill. Yeah.
I guess we're all pickles.
Prepper Nurse 1. Yeah, Colin, I know him.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, everybody. All right, so we are going to head this one off. If you guys, I think I'm going to go down into the description and go rewatch this and put times for every single edible that we put on there. So it'll be like a future reference. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm really happy you guys accepted to come up here. And
Always.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm so happy I joined YouTube now. Like meeting everybody and like knowing the community. It's
It is.
mind-blowing.
It is an awesome community.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
you
so
find your people, and
yeah.
I always said that if I got to the point where I started doing YouTube and I wasn't enjoyable anymore, I was going to quit. And it hasn't hit me yet where I haven't had, somebody enlighten me if it was just a young kid or, somebody with an edible that has helped them. It's always been a blessing all the way through.
Yeah, it really has been. It's only been a year for me, but man, that's been awesome.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat here that we interact with regularly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. On that, I love you. Je vous aime, Anesti. And we'll talk to you guys later, okay?
Yeah, what she said. Take care, all.
All right.
See you on the next one.
Bye-bye.